Hello, James Gillum, student here at SDI. It's week 2, assignment number 2, so it's module 2 for the revolver class, FTH202 51899. And today we're going to be disassembling the Taurus revolver. Per our manual, all the tools are present: punch set, pliers, screwdriver, hammer. The firearm is rendered safe. No ammunition is present in the chamber, or the barrel, or in the workspace. Before we disassemble the firearm, we're going to talk about cycles of operation. Feeding, actually putting the ammunition inside here, which is your cylinder, constitutes feeding. Loading it in to the cylinder, locking it forward, it is now a fed double action. Cocking in double action can be achieved either as it is in double action, which would be just by squeezing the trigger, or firing it in semi-auto mode by releasing the hammer back. Unlocking in a double action is the same as with a single action. Apply pressure to the trigger and the hammer simultaneously and allow it to be guided forward, not letting it slam. In the double action platform, the cylinder rotating constitutes chambering, the next round being moved into place and ready to fire. While the cylinder rotates, locking is also being facilitated. The spring that's powering the cylinder allows the lock to protrude at the bottom of the frame, and it'll drop the cylinder notch and chamber that will be aligned with the bore. At this point, the hand will stop pushing on the ratchet, all happening at the same time as the cylinder moves. As we come to firing, that's when the cylinder has reached its location, everything's set. Trigger squeeze, hammer goes forward. That's the actual round being struck by the primer and leaving the barrel. After the round's been fired, extraction happens just the same way as feeding does, just with a round that's been fired, the casing moves out and allows for a fresh round to be loaded inside the chamber. Same philosophy. So now we're going to disassemble the revolver. We're going to take one of our pins. We're going to hit that detent roll pin right there and push it out to remove the grip. The grip and the roll pin have been removed from the frame using the hammer and the punch and our nifty little armorer's block. Next step is going to be to remove the screws using a screwdriver to separate the frame. As you can see, these screws are now removed, and I have them kind of hanging out in their location, so I know where to identify them for. You can also see the little plunger that's come out of there. That's an integral part to it. We put those pesky little screws in a bag here. The next is going to be to remove the yoke, which should slide right off now that the spring and detent and screw is. And then as we rotate it back over, the plunger and spring come out, and now it's time to take the plate off. And so we secured that little guy in there with the rest of them. So all we have to do to take the plate off is to strike it with a non-marring tool, kind of like the wood side of this. After a few strikes, no prying of course, just strikes only from the non-marring tool, all your internals, your hammer and everything else are all visible. You can see the inside of the trigger, you can see all of its internal workings, everything. Key factors you can see in here are your hand, trigger spring, and strut assembly for the hammer, and of course the hammer assembly as a whole, as well as the entire trigger, which is right in here. So then we're going to remove the hand, and in order to do that we have to lift it, push it backward towards this hammer, and then lift it out. So it's actually going to come back and up towards me. So back and up and out. So we have the hand out now. So next we're going to cock the hammer back, and you can see my little plunger in here came flying out already. With the hammer fully cocked, you can see that little hole, if it'll focus, where we can then put our paper clip or whatever tiny device we have in there to stabilize our spring. I did not have paper clips, so I used safety wire, but still the same desired effect. Spring and detent is out. Then we'll do the same with the strut down here. That way we can keep that isolated. I'm gonna make sure to, when we take this piece out, that it has to stay curved that way. So we'll lift up right here with some pliers, and we'll push this up and out. So as it comes up and out, you just have to make sure that it doesn't go flying. As she comes up and out. There we go. Boom. There. Hammer by just pulling it back so it clears the frame. Boom. We'll set the hammer over here with the plate. Okay, so next we pull the hammer up, or the trigger up. The transfer bar already kind of came loose, so we'll just pull ahead, get that out of the way right now. Set it over here. And then you have the trigger, which we'll just have to pull up and separate out. Okay, so trigger's out. Boop. We've already got the transfer bar out. And like I mentioned earlier, the plunger already came out, so it's already out. Next is the cylinder stop, which is right in here. Cylinder stop's a little hard to get a hold of, so we'll use these needle nose to help us out. Boop. There's the cylinder stop. And next is the firing pin retaining pin, right there, which will take a pair of pliers, needle nose. I'm gonna grab it, and we're just gonna pull them out. Set the retaining pin next to the trigger there, and the firing pin just comes out. Apparently mine's got some lint in it. Remove the thumb piece. It's got that little screw in there. We've got to take that guy out. See, it's holding it in. So next we got to remove the thumb piece. We're gonna put our screwdriver in there. Break that guy free. Take the screw out and remove the thumb piece. Next we're gonna remove the bolt right there. This whole assembly comes out under tension. Gotta keep that spring right there. That goes on the little nub right there. So we'll keep those two together. And that's one really stripped frame. We have all the other main components sitting here. You have the hand, you have the trigger, you have the hammer, all the main pieces still here. I put all the little guys that are easy to lose in the bag there. Yeah. So here we are with my fully stripped frame. Hopefully I got that all in the time constraints, but yeah, it wasn't so hard after all.